It's a lot of privilege to be here today. Asanteni sana.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Milka Chebi. I am an independent appointed trustee. Thank you.
Thank you. These are not medical doctors. Just one, Dr. Nyandusi. These are financial doctors in the financial world. And that is why we are here reporting good figures. Prime Cabinet Secretary, you might have noted, it's a professionally well constituted board. This is one team that has been able to drive the business of this great institution to the further that we have come, very credibly. And allow me, as the team leader, to inform you that this group is able and available for other organizational national responsibilities. That is in my own assessment. So, ladies and gentlemen, the financial statement you received at the registration desk, and which is also available on our website, tells our story in more detail. How the fund has performed, what has been achieved, and the future strategic outlook. Ladies and gentlemen, we know this past year has tested many Kenyan households and businesses. Yet, in the midst of these pressures, you have still chosen to set something aside every month for your future. That decision to keep saving, even when times are tough, is a powerful act of resilience and hope. Ladies and gentlemen, we recognize that even amid this challenging economic environment, your contributions have enabled the fund emerge stronger and more resilient. We are citing quite much on resilience because we know what we are, of course, driving out of this. Despite these challenges, our members have remained committed to saving for the future. This consistent discipline reflects resilience, foresight, and confidence in the fund. As a result of your commitment, the fund has recorded a strong financial performance where members' contributions, already reported to you by the MT, rose from 62 billion to Kenyan shillings 84 billion, representing growth of about 1/3 from the previous year. Total assets increased from 400 billion to 500 billion, while investment income more than doubled, delivering gross returns of about 22%. Importantly, operating costs were maintained below the statutory threshold of 1.5% for the first time in the fund's history. This milestone, achieved 2 years ahead of schedule, reflects prudent financial management and a growing contributions base, ensuring that a greater proportion of every sharing benefits members. For a long time, our saving culture has been weak, and retirement often felt like an afterthought. Today, we can with honesty say that we are changing that narrative together. Your NSSF savings are no longer viewed as another tax. It is building your tomorrow and contributing to Kenya's economic growth. Today, NSSF contributions are increasingly recognized not as a statutory obligation, but a strategic investment in personal and national prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, from the statements and presentations from the managing trustee and myself, one thing is clear: the fund's finances are stronger today than they were a few years ago. This is not by accident, we must report with a lot of authority. Our performance is anchored in the corporate strategic plan 2023-2024, 2027, and guided by a distinguished focus on our strategic pillars. That is enhanced member service, sustainable growth, operational efficiency, and organizational resilience. This strategic plan that we are talking about today was launched officially in the year 2024 by none other, our Prime Cabinet Secretary. And we are here. We are happy that he is here with us today. And as already informed by the MT, to appraise him on the fact that we have gone, because on that day, he identifies us on so much, particularly as far as diversification is concerned. We are happy that here with us today is our guest of honor, and I must also report to the lot of authority, the journey has been good so far. Through a robust performance scorecard, we continuously monitor contribution levels, asset growth, investment returns, member satisfaction, and cost efficiency. The consistent improvement across these indicators confirm that our strategies in delivering measurable value to members and stakeholders. In our pursuit to deliver best services to our members, the fund has made major strides in digitizing its services by aligning technology with business objectives. For instance, our turnaround time on the benefit processing that already shared with you by the MT has reduced from an average of 90 days. Today, we talk about 9 days. And again, as told, we are moving towards 1 day. I was sitting next to Dr. Nyandusi, and I saw him putting down some notes, 111. You know, and you know, when people are doing exams, there is also always that tendency of overlooking what your neighbor is putting down on the examination paper. So I walked away with this examination results. The first one stood for 1 million members that we are recruiting every year. The other one stood for 1 day turnaround time. The other one stood for the 1 trillion mark that our MT spoke about. 111. And that's why we are saying NSSF, growing you for good. Through a robust scorecard, we continuously monitor contribution levels, asset growth, investment returns, member satisfaction, and cost efficiency. The consistent improvement across these indicators confirm that our strategies in delivering measurable value to members and the stakeholders. In our pursuit to deliver best services to our members, the fund has made major strides in delivering its services by aligning technology with business objectives. I think I already picked that. Today, more members and employees can access NSSF services remotely through secure and convenient digital platforms. We remain committed to continuous improvement in this area as we embrace transparency, efficiency, and trust. Ladies and gentlemen, as a responsible national institution, NSSF recognizes that long-term sustainable investments requires responsible investment and sound governance. We are strengthening our environmental, social, and governance framework to ensure that our operations reflect care for people, communities, and the environment. Our initiatives in environmental conservation, inclusion, ethical leadership, and regulatory compliance demonstrate our commitment to responsible stewardship. We have embraced corporate social responsibility, CSR, as an integral part of who we are, and not merely something we do on the side. Through support to education, health, social welfare, sports, and community projects across the country, the fund is working to give back to the very communities whose savings we manage. Our goal is simple. As your savings grow, the society around you should also grow stronger, more resilient, and more hopeful. On behalf of the bond, I wish to sincerely thank all employees of the National Social Security Fund for their tremendous effort, passion, and resilience in a demanding environment. And we are going to do more for you. Your handwork is visible in the results that we are reporting today. To our members, employers, and other stakeholders, thank you for your trust, your patience, and your continued support. It is your confidence in NSSF that makes this progress possible. Prime Cabinet Secretary, this year, the fund will declare its highest interest rate since inception. And I want to believe all of you are looking forward to that. It will be an explosion, can rest assured. This reflects our commitment to safeguarding and growing member savings in a fair and transparent manner. As we look ahead, we remain cautiously optimistic. While the economic environment continues to present challenges, our focus remains clear: improving service delivery, growing the fund prudently, and creating lasting value for our members and stakeholders. We are also continuously strengthening our governance structures to ensure accountability, transparency, and sound leadership to guide everything we do. There is every reason to be hopeful. The foundation that we have built in strategy, governance, technology, and investment are now delivering results. We are a committed board with a very strong management team headed by MT Koros and dedicated staff. NSSF is well positioned for even greater progress. We are fully convinced. And true to our theme, our savings, our shared prosperity, we will continue turning your earned contributions into real security for your families and shared prosperity for our nation. Somebody asked me yesterday when I told him that we have our AGM today, was surprised. We had one just the last year. So he kept asking, are you sure it is NSSF AGM? Yes. Then big things he told me must be happening at the NSSF. And behaving like a preacher, I said, oh yes, oh yes. Eh? Big things happening. Big things happening. We remain committed to delivering value that already shared with us by Koros. And of course, at the board level, that has the biggest responsibility of policy formulation and implementation. We are going and we promise to continue delivering value to all our stakeholders. The new NSSF transformation journey, I must also report to you with a lot of authority, is real and notable. We remain new to new ideas from our stakeholders to make the fund even better. Your savings, that was cited by the MT, and I must also cite the same, are secure and well managed. To our staff, a great team, your welfare is our priority at the board level. And this we do to ensure we're motivated, you are able to serve our members well. The current board membership, I must again say, is one that thinks, that acts, and influences positively. NSSF is growing you for good. Thank you and God bless you.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, to give us the presentation of annual report and audited financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2025, please welcome CPA Dorcas Muli from the Auditor General's Office. Karibu sana.
To the chief guest, the board of trustees of NSSF, and all the invited guests and everyone present, good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Dorcas Muli. I'm a director of audit in charge of health, labor, and social protection, and I'll be taking you through the report of the Auditor General for the fund for the year ended 30th June 2025. I know the managing trustee has already gone through the numbers, so I'll just go straight to the audit report. And I confirm the audit report is part of the booklet that you have, section 14. Section 14 has the Auditor General's report, then section 15 has the financial statements. So I'll read through the report of the Auditor General on National Social Security Fund for the year ended 30th June 2025. As I said, I've gone through the report in your booklet and I've confirmed it's the report that was signed by the Auditor General. I draw your attention to the contents of my report, which is in 3 parts. The first part is the report on the financial statements that considers whether the financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with the applicable financial reporting framework, accounting standards, and the relevant laws and regulations that have a direct effect on the financial statements. The report on the financial statements is usually where the opinion is derived from. B is a report on lawfulness and effectiveness in the use of public resources, which considers compliance with applicable laws, regulations, policies, gazette notices, circulars, guidelines, and manuals, and whether public resources are applied in a prudent, efficient, economic, transparent, and accountable manner to ensure the government achieves value for money and such funds are applied for the intended purpose. And then the last part of the Auditor General's report is a report on effectiveness of internal controls, risk management, and governance, which considers how the entity has instituted checks and balances to guide internal operations. This responds to the effectiveness of the governance structures, risk management environment, and internal controls, developed and implemented by those charged with governance for orderly, efficient, and effective operations of the entity. As I mentioned, the managing trustee has already talked about the numbers, and I can confirm the numbers that he presented are the numbers that we audited. The unmodified opinion is issued when the Auditor General concludes that the financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with the applicable financial reporting framework. The report on financial statements should be read together with the report on lawfulness and effectiveness in the use of public resources and the report on effectiveness of internal controls, risk management, and governance. The 3 parts of the report are aimed at addressing the statutory roles and responsibilities of the Auditor General as provided by Article 229 of the Constitution, the Public Finance Management Act of 2012, and the Public Audit Act of 2015. As I said, the 3 parts of the report, when read together, constitute the report of the Auditor General. So the first part I said is a report on the financial statements, where the opinion is derived. The opinion of the fund for the year ended 30th June 2025 was unmodified, and I will read the opinion from the Auditor General. I've audited the accompanying financial statements of National Social Security Fund set out on pages 1 to 93, which comprise of the statement of net assets available for benefits as at 30th June 2025, and the statement of changes in net assets available for benefits, statement of changes in accumulated members fund, statement of cash flows, and statement of comparison of budget and actual amounts for the year then ended, and a summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory information in accordance with the provisions of Article 229 of the Constitution of Kenya and Section 35 of the Public Audit Act 2015. I have obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of my knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of the audit. In my opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of National Social Security Fund as at 30th June 2025 and of its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with international financial reporting standards and comply with the National Social Security Fund Act of 2013 and Public Finance Management Act of 2012. I'll go through the basis of the opinion. The audit was conducted in accordance with international standards of supreme audit institutions. I am independent of the National Social Security Fund management in accordance with ISA 130 on the Code of Ethics. I have fulfilled other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the ISA and in accordance with other ethical requirements applicable to performing audits of financial statements in Kenya. I believe that the audit evidence I have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for my opinion. The other part of the audit of the financial statements, there is some emphasis of matter, and there were two issues. There was an issue on budgetary control and performance and revocation of issued land titles. I know the managing trustee already talked about the legacy issues and the implementation of audit recommendations. I will not go through the other issues on the financial statements. There are issues on the report on lawfulness and effectiveness in the use of public resources. Again, I will not go through the details, but I'll go through the conclusion on that part as required by Article 229, Section 6 of the Constitution, based on the audit procedures performed, except for the effect of the matters described in the basis for conclusion on lawfulness and effectiveness in the use of public resources section of my report. I confirm that nothing else has come to my attention to cause me to believe that public resources have not been applied lawfully and in an effective way. Then the last part of the Auditor General's report is the report on effectiveness of internal controls, risk management, and governance. Again, I will not go through the details, but I'll read the conclusion as required by Section 7, Subsection 1A of the Public Audit Act 2015, and based on the audit procedures performed, except for the effect of the matters described in the basis for conclusion on the effectiveness of internal controls, risk management, and governance section of my report, I confirm that nothing else has come to my attention to cause me to believe that internal controls, risk management, and governance were not effective. The Auditor General's report also contains a section on responsibilities of management and the Board of Trustees. I will also not go through that section, and the last part is usually on the Auditor General's responsibilities for the audit. And I confirm the audit was concluded and the audit report was signed on 11th of December 2025 by the Auditor General, FCPA Nancy Gathungu, CBS. Thank you so much.
And now for the actuarial report. CEO of Zamara Group and a qualified actuary with over 30 years of experience in actuarial, pensions and investment consultancy across the UK and Kenya. A continental thought leader, he chairs the African Committee of the International Actuarial Association and leads KEPFIC, a consortium driving long-term pension investments in infrastructure, housing and other transformative sectors. Please welcome Sandeep Raichura.
The Prime Cabinet Secretary, Chairman and members of the Board of Trustees of the National Social Security Fund, and most importantly, members of the National Social Security Fund present here, as well as joining online, including all of us who are members of the NSSF. I'm very delighted and honored to have the privilege of participating and making a presentation at this 8th annual general meeting of the NSSF. As actuaries to the National Social Security Fund, we have important statutory responsibilities. We also assist the Board of Trustees and advise on the prudent financial management of the fund. We advise the Board of Trustees on the formulation of investment policy, setting the benchmarks, setting the controls, as well as monitoring the investment performance of the fund. As actuaries, we carry out an annual financial review and a statutory triennial actuarial valuation of the fund. As part of this, we monitor the financial solvency position of the fund, and we also have a very important responsibility under the legislation, and this is to advise the Board of Trustees on the investment return or the interest that can be allocated to member accounts each year. In the interest of time, I'm going to keep my presentation very, very quick and brief, and restrict myself to what is required statutorily to be provided. Okay? The law requires us to confirm if there have been any changes to the benefit structure of the NSSF in the last financial year, and also to outline the benefits so that members can appreciate them. So, as most of us will be aware, following the implementation of the NSSF Act number 45 of 2013, the Act was implemented. So the Act was enacted in 2013, but was implemented in 2023. Now, as part of this Act, there were two new funds that were introduced or established. This is the new pension fund and the new provident fund. The new pension fund is applicable to everybody in salaried employment, what we call the formal sector, and provides benefits on retirement, and retirement at the normal retirement age of 60 or earlier, at or after 50. And the benefit that is provided is as a pension. There are benefits that are provided should somebody unfortunately exit employment whilst before retirement. This is on invalidity, or in the event of death, there is a pension benefit that is paid to the surviving dependents. There is also a funeral grant and an emigration benefit that is provided. The new voluntary provident fund is applicable to the informal sector for voluntary contributions. The benefits are exactly the same. I mean, they are provided on the same on retirement, earlier exit, but they are paid in the form of a lump sum, not as a regular pension. Okay. The old provident fund that was there under the previous Act of Cap 258 was closed in 2023. It still remains there. It is a closed fund, and as required under the Act, it is ring-fenced from the assets and liabilities of the new fund. Okay. How does the National Social Security Fund work? Although this is a big fund, the 575 billion that was mentioned by the chairman and the managing trustee, this fund comprises of an individual account for each and every member. So there are more than 7 million individual accounts in the fund. Every member has an individual sub-account. Okay? And so this big fund is an accumulation of individual amounts, which we track, we value, and we ensure that those contributions are being correctly remitted, accounted for, and that the investment return on those contributions is being properly allocated. The contributions at the rate provided in the Act of 6%, as the managing trustee described, go to the individual member's account. The money is invested. If there is a return that is earned, the return is allocated to members. When a member retires or exits, it is the size of his or her individual account that determines their benefit. Okay? And as we know that these contributions are being phased in over a 5-year period, this is the 4th year of implementation of the contributions. That the contributions are at 6% of earnings up to a limit called the upper earnings limit, and each year that limit is being progressively increased. As we heard last year, as we heard from the managing trustee, the total contributions last year were at 83 billion. The total benefits that were paid out were at just over 8 billion shillings. In terms of governance structure, the managing trustee has already gone through this very clearly. The board of trustees have a responsibility to ensure the fund is managed in the best interests of members. It is professionally run and compliant with the laws and regulations in the country. The Retirement Benefits Authority is the regulator to the NSSF. The board appoints service providers. So there are fund managers who invest the funds in accordance with the investment policy that has been set. And there will be a presentation on this by the fund managers. And there are custodians who hold the money. And it's important to appreciate that the money is not held by the trustees. Okay? The money is invested by independent managers who are licensed and regulated by the CMA and the RBA, but even they don't hold the money. The money is held by independent custodians, again, who are licensed providers, and even they don't hold that money on their balance sheet. It is held separately and accounted for separately. So this is a system of checks, balances, and controls to ensure that the savings of Kenyans are safeguarded and looked after for what they are intended to be. Okay, we're very privileged to be the actuaries to the fund, and I've explained our role, and the Auditor General have covered their role as well. In terms of investment strategy, the Board of Trustees have the responsibility for the policy for the funds. So there is a comprehensive investment policy statement that also includes policies for investing in property, as well as other alternative asset classes like private equity, infrastructure, and the like. And this investment policy has 5 core objectives. The first is to say the value of the members' account must be preserved. Capital preservation is important. But subject to preserving your capital, the money is invested to get you the best return in a prudent manner, okay, in line with benchmarks that are set in the investment policy, ensuring that the fund is liquid at all times, able to meet its obligations, and is well diversified. The assets are spread, and the MD covered this in some detail. The investment portfolio, the auditors have covered, the managing trustee has covered as well. So let me not talk into it, but to confirm that 90% of the funds are managed by external managers. The property assets are managed by external property managers. Okay. The funds have grown, and the managing trustee has already shown this. I'll leave the investment managers to cover the asset distribution. Let me turn to the last part of my presentation. I mentioned that we carry out an actuarial review. Okay. As part of that, we also look at the returns that are earned. We advise the trustees on the return that can be allocated. The trustees review our advice and make a decision. Once that return is declared and approved, it is allocated to you, every individual member of the fund. Okay. Now, as was mentioned earlier, as I mentioned, this process has been completed. The fund has had a stellar performance last year, as the chairman mentioned, and the chief guest will be announcing some very good news in a few moments. So allow me to conclude our presentation by confirming, as we are required to, that the investments of the NSSF were compliant with the statutory guidelines that are set out under the Retirement Benefits Act, and this is important for members to note. We are also able to confirm that the NSSF's liquidity position will enable it to meet the obligations to members as well as meet its expenses in a very comfortable manner. And finally, we're able to confirm that the NSSF was financially sound, i.e. it was solvent. Its assets fully covered its liabilities, and there are reserves that are prudently set aside as well. So members can be comfortable that their funds are being well looked after. You will see here in a few moments that you are getting very, very good returns on the fund. And as we are required by law to confirm, I'm very happy to confirm the financial soundness of the fund. So with those remarks, let me stop. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much indeed. A big round of applause. Because of time, I'd kindly request the next speakers, you only have 2 minutes. If you hear this sound, I'd kindly request that you wind up. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for the fund managers of presentation, Mr. Nicholas Idondeka, Corp Trust Investment Services Limited. 2 minutes, go ahead.
Wow. Prime CS, executives of FKE and KOTU, chairperson of the board and board of trustees, and most importantly, Retirement Benefits Authority, John Kerr, scheme members, God is good, and all the time. I think I've been given 2 minutes. So since we are all talking about a good return, I can sit down and we can clap and pray for next year. That's a light touch, but I'll give my report quite quickly as been guided by Mwakazi. Straight on to my slides. Again, Prime CS, we are very delighted to be here. We were with you when we are launching the strategic plan. It's indeed a privilege to see that you've come just to cheer us on. And as fund managers, we are very happy because we have stayed the course and your encouragement continues to serve us. So this is how we operate in the Board of Trustees in NSSF. We are service providers, and I'm privileged to present the fund manager's report. I will not go through this. Sandeep was able to mention this. I'll skip through to the people who are serving in office. As mentioned, my name is Nicky Thondeka. I'm the Managing Director of Corp Trust Investment Services, one of the service providers. Together with me on the NSSF board, we also have Jen Afric, and I saw the Managing Director here, Patrick and his team, Biko in the room as well. The other fund managers, African Alliance, and can see Kua and Gladys who are also here. So I'm representing the report on their behalf, collectively as the fund managers. Our role is very simple, as explained by Sandeep, is to talk about advisory. We are mainly fund managers who are in the market doing investments on behalf of our clients. We have the regulator, Retirement Benefits Authority, we have Capital Markets Authority, who then guide us how we do our business. We have an obligation to meet the board every quarter, which we do. The various committee, Finance and Investment Committee, and we talk about the investment returns, we talk about the strategy going forward, and we've been ably doing so, and I'll skip that slide just in the interest of time. So members, last year, as mentioned earlier, it was very easy. Prime CS, I must say, we are now heading to an 18 trillion economy, which is no joke. For us, it's very hard, members, for you to grow members' money in a declining economic environment. So when you see the GDP posting levels of 4%, 5% every quarter, that means your money is being able to grow as well. So we are looking forward to the target, which is now about 5.5% economic growth. The key underlying matter again is agriculture, stability of the Kenya shilling, and of course the macros, which I'll go through quite quickly. But just to talk about what was the journey in the last 3 years, Prime CS, I must also once again commend the government as we came over in 2023 and 2024. I think for also including the stakeholders. As we are discussing about the debt levels in government, just to remind members, we were going through what we almost came to a near default of the government debt. And the government then was able to include even the stakeholders in private sector like ourselves, just to navigate through that environment. And Prime CS, we say members, numbers don't lie. So when you're seeing the economy being so stable, when you're seeing GDP growth at above 5%, you're seeing the stability of the Kenya shilling, work has been put in, and we must commend the government as private players and as fund managers. Last year, members, it was very stable. This is the movement of currency. If you compare with the different countries in Africa, Kenya is standing out as one of the most best managed in this particular season. And again, the key issue is just how the government was able to articulate the refinancing of the Eurobond, the different areas they can tap into to borrow and just get ourselves into a more stable borrowing program, and especially in terms of being able to pay and pay on time. Interest rates, members, again, we as fund managers, we have two sides because we have to try and make the best from your membership numbers in terms of fund value. At the same time, we also have to make sure, that things are stable. So rates have dropped significantly. Your scheme is doing very well. If you look at the numbers on the later part of the slides, the bonds that we were buying in 2023, which were levels of 19%, are now being auctioned in the secondary markets at levels of 12%. And you're sitting on huge gains, which we are enjoying today. But again, the decision to continue buying was quite important, and the board was able to give us that leeway to continue with that process. Bond returns, again, just to, as you can see, Mokazi is getting a bit closer. It's getting 22% last year, which is good for us, 29% the previous year. But the most exciting one for us is global markets. Prime CS, when you see a lot of money chasing Kenyan companies, as NSSF fund managers, you're very happy that we took the bold decision to build up our equity weight. We have received a lot of money from contribution and members. We have spent a lot of money buying into what you'd call alternative investments, trying to tap into what the managing trustee mentioned about trying to put a 10% yield on the table for the next 28 years in USD terms is no mean feat. And I must tell you, Prime CS as well, not to report my bosses empty, but we've had an easy time with the board of trustees. Everything we present to them, Prime CS, they've been able to give us that swift execution to the investment and finance committees, and we've been able to take very good and bold decisions in terms of investments. So simply put, members, as I wind up, Mwakazi, this is the asset allocation. Again, this is going to significantly change. I think we all appreciate it's a new NSSF. There's a lot of good wind which is blowing. There's a lot of macro factors which are stepping very well in line with the policy changes. The increase in quoted equities there, which went down mainly because of the contributions. What you expect to see is the docket under others and property was largely going down in 2025. They have done post 2025, which is close of the year. We have done initiatives, and the MT talked about them quite well, which will build up that element. Rates are coming down, so members, it is quite important for the board to take that decision to try and move away from the volatility which has been witnessed. Finally, as I wind up, and not to bring the cat out of the bag, as MT says, allow me just to make one comment about the new year. We only have 4.5 months, to close the new year. And as at now already, as the GM investments will keep on reminding us, we are already in double digits, and I think I would want to leave you at that, and we look forward for the next AGM to post even better numbers. Asanteni sana.
Thank you so much. Up next.
She is the head of investor services at KCB Bank Kenya with over 22 years of experience in custody, fiduciary services and regulated capital markets. As certified trustee, she is recognized for strengthening governance, risk frameworks and world-class service delivery in Kenya's capital markets. Please welcome Florence Nduba.
3 minutes, please.
Our chief guest, the Board of Trustees led by the Chair of NSSF, distinguished guests, members of the NSSF, good afternoon. As you've heard, my name is Florence Nduba from KCB Bank, here to table the Custodians report. Before I do, allow me to introduce my fellow custodians. I will request them to stand, beginning with Cooperative Bank, led by Lydia Mushiri. We also have Janet Waiguru from Stanbic Bank, and we also have Standard Chartered Bank, led by Gideon Choka and Rachel Wambari. Together, as 4 banks, we provide the custody services to the fund, and what that means is that we are the ones who are fully charged with safeguarding the assets of this fund. I want to assure you members, the assets you've had, which are detailed in the financial statements, are held with the custodians, the 4 custodian banks, and we ensure that all activities pertaining to those assets are being undertaken by the custodians in line with our mandate, which is set out in the Retirement Benefits Acts and regulations. We undertake the investments as guided by your investment manager and ensure that any income coming out of those investments is collected and reinvested for the benefit of the members. We also ensure that all records pertaining to those assets are maintained and available for scrutiny by the auditors to confirm that indeed those assets belong to the fund. As I conclude, in the interest of time, this is to assure you, we as the 4 custodians who are servicing the fund have maintained the technical capacity and the operational systems which are required to ensure that your funds are maintained in line with the regulations. We are regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya, by the Capital Markets Authority, as well as the Retirement Benefits Authority, represented here today. And they will be able to confirm to you that we are fully compliant with the licensing obligations set out for the custodians. So members, as I close, just to assure you, your assets are safe in our custody and will be available for distribution to you at the point that you retire and are in need of your retirement benefits. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. On that note, I'd kind of request, let's just be upstanding, give somebody a big high five and tell them it's safe. We're safe. We're safe. Just give them a big high five, tell them we're safe, we're safe. Big high five, big high five. We're safe, we're safe, we're safe. All right, NSSF choir, one song. Let's go. You may kindly take your seats. Thank you so much indeed. Yeah. All right, so NSSF will hold a bit. Let's keep on moving because of time. We can kindly take our seats. NSSF will call you later on because of time. Right now, very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, for the next 3 minutes, because of time, 3 minutes, I'd kindly request that we have the representative, Retirement Benefits Authority. Karibu sana. Retirement Benefits Authority representative, please come forward. 3 minutes. Over to you. Take it away.
I'll ride on all the protocols presented earlier and very quickly introduce myself. My name is John Kea, and I am here to represent the Chief Executive Officer of the Retirement Benefits Authority, Mr. Charles Mashira. Firstly is to convey his apologies. Secondly, to convey the greetings from the RBA, board, CEO, and management and staff. And thirdly is to read his remarks, which I will try and summarize in 2.5 minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to address the 8th Annual General Meeting of the NSSF, convened under the theme, Our Savings, Our Shared Prosperity. A retirement benefit scheme is a critical vehicle through which Kenyan workers transform today's effort into tomorrow's security. Members contribute with a legitimate expectation that disciplined savings, prudently invested over a working lifetime, will provide a secure and dependable income in retirement. The fund, therefore, represents more than account balances. It comprises assets held in trust to safeguard dignity and livelihoods in retirement. It is against this backdrop that this AGM assumes meaning far deeper than compliance with legal formality. Beyond fulfilling a statutory obligation, this meeting stands as a central instrument of sound governance. It provides a structured and transparent forum through which members engage the trustees and service providers to review operations and performance of the fund for the financial year ended 30th June 2025. We commend the board for convening this meeting in fulfillment with its fiduciary obligations. Equally, we urge you members to continuously take keen interest in the information that has been presented and deliberated upon during these proceedings. This right to information is fundamental to member protection and must be exercised responsibly. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya's retirement sector continues to register steady growth, supported by increased participation, diversified investments, favorable macroeconomic conditions, and strong stakeholder collaborations. These developments reflect a maturing system with growing capacity to deliver retirement income security. Within this positive trajectory, we take note of the fund's progressive performance for the year and a review as presented by the managing trustee. We wish to commend the board for this performance, which continues to spark growth within the retirement benefits industry in line with the national policy objective. This progress is firmly anchored in the National Retirement Benefits Policy, which was launched in August 2024. A central priority of the policy is the expansion of coverage across all segments of the labor market, encompassing both formal and informal sector workers. Notwithstanding the gains made, coverage remains a key national challenge at 26%. We therefore have the collective responsibility of ensuring we access the 74% of Kenyan workers who are not saving for retirement. Within this broader landscape, the NSSF occupies a pivotal position. As the national mandatory retirement scheme, NSSF accounts for a significant portion of reported contributors across the sector. It serves as a primary entry point into the retirement savings system for many first-time participants and will remain a critical vehicle for advancing national pension coverage, adequacy, and sustainable objectives. In this regard, the authority reiterates its support of the enhanced contributions and diversification of investments that is translating to increased member benefits and the payment of benefits as a pension, which means members will receive a payment for life as opposed to the one-off lump sums that were previously paid. In line with the theme of this meeting, shared responsibility, or shared prosperity can only be realized where coverage is broad and with every worker participating in saving adequately for their retirement, of which NSSF can spur this actualization. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate our commitment to supervise the retirement benefit sector and collaborate with the fund to ensure actualization of dignity in retirement of members. I congratulate you for a successful AGM and wish you all the very best towards the attainment of 111 95 95 1. Thank you and God bless you.
Many thanks indeed, Asante Sana. The next 3 minutes, please welcome our next speaker, Executive Director and CEO, Federation of Kenya Employers, Jacqueline Mugo. Makofi yake tafadhali. 3 minutes. Karibu sana, karibu sana.
The Prime Cabinet Secretary, all protocols observed. I'm going to do my best to behave and avoid the bell and summarize my message in 3 points. First is to express my pleasure and joy on behalf of the Federation of Kenya Employers to be with you at this 8th Annual General Meeting of the National Social Security Fund. My gratitude goes to the board and the management and to NSSF as an organization for the long-standing relationship we have had, rooted in dialogue, collaboration, and shared commitment. To see the successes you have made and the theme you have picked to conduct this AGM in is to me a very great milestone. The theme, our savings, our shared prosperity, resonates very deeply with employers. It is a fact that there are international benchmarks that govern social protection and the aspirations of what percentage of your earnings one should take home when they retire. You should be able to earn at least 50 to 70%. But the fact is that Kenya has not reached that point yet, but there are commendable efforts and progress that are being made. And to us as employers, it is important to have social protection. I believe it's a fundamental human right and an essential component of decent work. Now, listening to the results that both the chair and the MT have shared today, we can all say that you've done an excellent job. And I just want to say that employers have a very strong role to play in that journey, in expanding coverage, in advancing the adequacy of social protection, and also helping us as a country to meet these international benchmarks. I want to conclude by reaffirming the support of the Federation of Kenya Employers to the work of the National Social Security Fund, which holds a very dear place in my heart. As you know, I'm a retired trustee. And some of the work you're doing, especially the legal framework which you're implementing, were put in place by the board I served on at that time. In that was embedded the structure of contributions that you've been implementing. So employers support that because we believe that savings are a critical part of promoting an employee's well-being in retirement. I want to commend you. Yes, you may reply. We want to acknowledge and to commend the progress that NSSF continues to make in strengthening governance, operational efficiency, and transparency. And I want to give you our commitment as a federation to work with you. We reaffirm our support for the path that you have taken, and we look forward to deepening our collaboration and that you will achieve the goals of growing us for good in this country. So thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much indeed. Up next, representing the Central Organization of Trade Unions, we'll have Rose Omamo, trustee representing Kotu, Board of Trustees, NSSF. Makofi yake tafadhali, 3 minutes.
The Prime Cabinet Secretary of the Republic of Kenya and chief guest, His Excellency Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, EGH. I want to bring remarks from Dr. Francis Atwoli, who is not here with us today because of other engagements that he could not run away from. And I will try to summarize in 3 minutes as a representative of Dr. Francis Atwoli. Dr. Francis Atwoli wishes to appreciate the Board of Trustees of NSSF for the steady and principled leadership that they have shown, particularly at a defining moment when the fund commenced the full implementation of the NSSF Act 2013. He also wishes to commend NSSF management for the professionalism and good stewardship demonstrated during this period, where we have experienced relative harmony marked by minimal friction between the board, management, and other key stakeholders. He wishes to acknowledge that NSSF is a tripartite institution bringing together government, employers, and workers. And as the representative of Kenyan workers, he says that we reaffirm, KOTU Kenya reaffirms our commitment to this tripartite spirit. Dr. Francis says that he wants to assure you all gathered here that KOTU Kenya shall continue to play our role diligently to ensure that NSSF fulfills its current mission of converting workers' savings into real and tangible shared prosperity. As workers, Francis says that we remain alive to the fact that the idea of shared prosperity has historically been an elusive reality in our country, considering that as far as back section paper number 10 of 1965, Kenya's development path privileged certain regions while marginalized others. It is for this reason that workers are deeply interested and invested in how NSSF deploys its investment capital, as we wish to see NSSF invest deliberately structured to promote balanced regional development so that every part of Kenya can feel the impact of growth and progress. At the same time, Dr. Francis says that we are clear and firm that workers must continue to enjoy secure, predictable, and double-digit returns on their savings because shared prosperity must never come at the expense of workers. And in this regard, KOTU Kenya wishes to acknowledge and appreciate His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, together with the Board of Trustees, for the policy direction that positions NSSF as a catalyst for shared prosperity through strategic national infrastructure investment. He acknowledges that participation of NSSF in transformative projects such as the Rironi-Mau Summit Road is a clear demonstration of how workers' savings can be mobilized to unlock national development while safeguarding returns. Sisters and brothers, he says, and this would be my final remarks, that these investments in return create jobs, and when jobs are created, more Kenyans are brought into formal employment and informal employment, and more contributors join NSSF, and a strong culture of saving is reinforced across the country. And with those many remarks, he says that the money in NSSF belongs to Kenya's workers, and our duty, therefore, as KOTU Kenya, is to ensure that the governance of the fund remains transparent, accountable, and firmly anchored in the best interest of contributors. And lastly, he wishes you good deliberations and a very fruitful and successful AGM. Thank you.
Thank you so much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now ready for our chief guest, and to usher him in, I kindly call upon the chairman, Board of Trustees, to guide us through. Before that,
NSSF hoye! NSSF hoye! Najua kuna haya masaa ni yale masaa mengine, lakini tuvumiliane, si ndio? Kwa sababu hakuna siku nyingine itakuja kama leo. Again, NSSF, growing you for good. Our chief guest, our Prime Cabinet Secretary, in the interest of time, riding on the protocols already indicated by the previous speakers, allow me first to offer the sincere apologies of our Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Alfred Mutua, who would have loved to be here with us, but we know that we have a presidential launch of the Nyota project, which is equally a big project that even the NSSF is involved in, that the managing trustee has talked about. Also, the apologies of the Principal Secretary, Mr. Shadrach Mwadime, who also is involved in the job creation market. He's out of the country. We know that it's also a big pillar in His Excellency's roadmap to economic development for our country. Allow me, our chief guest, to first comment that the ministry acknowledges and commends the NSSF board and management for the outcomes that have been shared by the managing trustee and chair on the performance of the fund. The NSSF continues to anchor itself on His Excellency the President's mantra on increased national savings to ensure a dignified retirement and pension for all our workers. The ministry, Honorable Prime Cabinet Secretary, also continues to, through its representation in the board, to indeed advocate and to ensure prudent investments of members' funds and aims for continued sustainable digital growth. The fund is encouraged and continues to look for opportunity to grow the fund away from what is traditional, in a bid to also impact on the socioeconomic development of this country. We are aware of the legacy issues, and indeed the Auditor General has shared on some of the legacy issues, and we acknowledge and are happy with the efforts that are being made to deal with the ongoing legacy issues so that we can progressively put them behind us. Our chief guests, the NSSF, I would like to believe that it's an institution that is undergoing a rebirth. For those of us who are Christians, tunajua kwa being born again. So I believe that as a fund, we are on a steady trajectory to be born again and to ensure that our pensioners continue enjoying dignified retirement through prudent savings and also impact on national development. So allow me to stop there in the interest of time and request you to please be upstanding. And those of us who grew up in the Nyayo times, we would give heavy claps to our chief guests, na ningependa tumukaribishe our Prime Cabinet Secretary with 1, 2, 3, 4.
He is a seasoned statesman and a bold reformer, credited with liberalizing Kenya's economy in the 1990s, shaping devolution and architecting major political coalitions that have defined modern Kenyan politics. As Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, he continues to steer Kenya's strategic interests with steadiness, diplomacy and visionary leadership. Please welcome His Excellency Honorable Dr. Musalia Mudavadi.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Mr. Chairman, David Kariuki-Njeru, Chair of the NSSF Board of Trustees, members of the NSSF Board of Trustees, the representative of the regulator, Charles Mashira, representative of COTU Secretary General, Francis Atwoli, Madam Jacqueline Mugo, Executive Director, Federation of Kenya Employers, the NSSF Managing Trustee, management and staff, stakeholders and partners, ladies and gentlemen. First, let me convey best wishes to you all from the President of the Republic of Kenya. He has expressed himself severally on the issue of growing our savings, because a country that does not save will not prosper. So for me and for him, being here is to send a very important message about the importance of savings for our well-being as a country. Let me proceed and make a statement. It is my great pleasure to join you at this 8th Annual General Meeting of the National Social Security Fund, which brings together a large and rich diversity of NSSF members, employers, stakeholders, and partners. I wish to appreciate the leadership of NSSF, not just for inviting me to preside over this auspicious ceremony, but also for mobilizing all the Kenyans who are participating in this gathering. You have leveraged on technology to connect over 2,000 members online from all over the country, while another 700 or so are present here physically. Beyond the numbers, the most important outcome of this AGM is how well you, as the Board of Trustees and management, have discharged your leadership and commitment to the strategic direction of the fund. The performance, progress, and challenges over the last financial year are well documented in the comprehensive reports that the Auditor General, actuaries, fund managers, and scheme custodians have presented to the NSSF members during this meeting. I am particularly impressed by the momentous growth in the size of the fund, from Kenya shillings 288 billion in 2022 to 670 billion in 2025. This demonstrates strong confidence by your members, who have substantially increased their savings, combined with your prudent investment options that have yielded high returns. The exemplary performance validates the spirit of the NSSF Strategic Plan 2023 to 2027, which, as you have heard, I was honored to launch in May 2024. It assures your members that they will continue to earn double-digit returns on their hard-earned savings and cement their constitutional right to affordable and accessible social security. This year's theme, Our Savings, Our Shared Prosperity, captures an essence of national importance while speaking directly to each individual Kenyan. It reminds us that every shilling contributed to the NSSF is far more than a line on a payslip. It is a personal investment in future security, dignity, and peace of mind for the member and their family. When these individual efforts are brought together, they form a powerful national pool of savings that support housing and sustainable development across our country, hence stimulating job creation and economic growth. The government strongly affirms and supports this vision, where individual responsibility in saving translates into collective strength and shared prosperity for all Kenyans. Our African wisdom captures this clearly. Little by little, the bird builds its nest, and tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. These sayings speak directly to our changing social and economic realities, where families can no longer rely solely on extended support systems. It is a practical guide for how we, as Kenyans, must now think about saving consistently, patiently, and with the future in mind, so that retirement is not a burden, but a season lived with dignity. This platform further provides an opportunity for all of us to appreciate NSSF's contribution to Kenya's financial inclusion by tapping into the savings of workers in the formal and informal sectors of the economy. The transformation journey has also enabled you to respond to the emerging demands of your members and the need to support the government's bottom-up economic transformation agenda. The NSSF Act of 2013, implemented in 2023, introduced a contribution of 12% of an employer's pensionable income shared equally between the employee and the employer. Even though Kenya remains among the lowest contributors in the region and globally, this is a critical step towards closing the retirement adequacy gap and honoring Kenya's constitutional obligation to its workers. By comparison, countries such as Singapore, and we are shown the chart here, require employers to contribute up to 17% and employees up to 20%, underscoring how seriously successful economies take retirement security. The International Labour Organization recommends contributions of 15 to 20% for a worker to retire with at least 45% of pre-retirement income after a full working life. We must recognize that while Kenya is youthful today, we are steadily moving towards an aging society. Traditional family support systems are evolving, and the responsibility to plan for old age increasingly rests with the individual, supported by the state. Beyond securing individual livelihoods, the growth of the fund has a wider and measurable impact on the national economy. NSSF's expanding asset base deepens domestic savings, strengthens Kenya's capital markets, and supports long-term investments in infrastructure, housing, and productive sectors of the economy. The fund's investment in roads, energy, affordable housing, and enterprise development projects have stronger multiplier effects in creating jobs, stimulating local industries, and contributing directly to the growth of Kenya's gross domestic product. These landmark investments include the NSSF partnership in the Nairobi Mau Summit Highway project, development of a modern twin-tower commercial building on Kenyatta Avenue in Nairobi, and Milimani Housing Project in Kisumu. These projects will create 75,000 jobs, directly and indirectly, across construction, supply chains, and supporting services, while also contributing to Kenya's GDP growth. This is the power of collective savings of the Kenyan workers. Let me conclude by appealing to all employers to ensure timely remittance of the contributions of their employees. Compliance must be regarded as a fundamental obligation and a non-negotiable aspect of doing business in Kenya. My challenge to the NSSF is to uphold the highest standards of governance, transparency, risk management, and data protection. You also stand on a great opportunity to continue innovating and exploring the most viable options to guarantee your members better and sustainable savings, while also expanding your investments to national development priorities. I wish to assure you that the government will continue to provide strong policy guidance and oversight, ensuring that the fund remains robust, credible, and sustainable, capable of delivering social protection and socio-economic transformation. I am confident that the board, management, and staff will remain motivated to work together with the members and stakeholders in the fund's transformation journey. Now, before I deliver the good news, because indeed it is good news, let me just emphasize one or 2 points. One, the turnaround. The turnaround. That is a very, very significant step in the right direction by the NSSF and all the team, the whole ecosystem of men and women who have made this happen. I was making some reference in the holding room there for a few minutes, and I was saying one of my departments is the Department for Parliamentary Affairs. And I can tell you, when I see the questions that are now being raised in Parliament, we are not seeing those long statements of saying that employee X of a particular institution has been on the queue for the last so many years, waiting for settlement. Those questions have evaporated. The backlog that was there, because these are issues that sometimes we don't play. When they were making the presentation, settling 300,000 claims that were part of a backlog, amounting to about 25 billion Kenya shillings, is not a walk in the park. That again speaks volumes to what you people are doing. How sometimes do we gauge a good economy, a growing economy? I don't know. From numbers we can tell, but let me try and perhaps simplify it a little from a politician's perspective. Because I had somebody saying that I have been building coalitions. Well, first of all, this is a very serious coalition, isn't it? It's a tripartite. Yeah, it's the government, employers, and workers. This is a very serious coalition. You know, it's a national coalition that really is a bulwark for growing the economy. So don't think it's only politicians who are in a coalition. You are in a coalition. But if you just want to figure out what would be perhaps a very promising example of an economy that is doing well. Sometimes when you walk the streets of Nairobi or the streets of Kakamega or Kisumu or Mombasa, you enter there as a politician, you stand somewhere, and people come and surround you, even in the middle of the week. And you imagine for a moment that you are popular. That, because you know we have this affinity for crowds. So the crowd comes, you think you're popular. Let me tell you, for me, one of the things that I hope we can achieve is the day a politician will go into an urban center and call for a meeting in the middle of the week, like today. Today is towards the end, but on a Wednesday, call for a political rally and you get 0 attendance. That will be the best moment for me because it will mean that Kenyans are engaged, they are working, they are not idlers, they are not jobless, and therefore they have no time to engage in empty politicking. That is what we should achieve. A situation where you can actually convene a gathering and people will tell you, unless the rally is called on a Saturday, we are not available for you because we are busy. That is where we should be driving our economy. So, let us save, let us pull together. Thank you for taking up the Mao Summit as part of your investment portfolio. You know, you guys can actually own Jomo Kenyatta Airport. But as a commercial decision, not a political one. You can own it, and if you own it, make it a commercial decision, not a political one. Because it's possible. With your resources, you can modernize our airport. You can. After all, those of you and your fund managers are here, and most of you, all the people in this room and the ones listening, they've got substance on their shoulders, above their shoulders. I can tell you that if you look at Heathrow Airport, for instance, 15% of Heathrow Airport is owned by the Saudi fund, I don't know what fund, and other funds. It is domiciled in UK, and it will never be uprooted from the UK. It shall always remain an infrastructure in the UK. But the ownership has moved to various global funds, which then modernize it. But it remains Heathrow Airport in the UK. So equally, the NSSF, as you look at various projects, choosing them selectively so that there's a proper return and there's proper potential, you can help us transform this country. There is an opportunity, do not let it go away. And as I said, do not make political decisions. Make proper, well thought out commercial decisions so that there's an adequate and commensurate return on the investment that employers, employees, and all the savers have made to the NSSF kitty. I'm a happy person because I knew Koros from the LAB Fund when I was Minister for Local Government. We were grappling with the LAB Fund. Well, he did a good job there. Now he's handling a bigger institution, which is good. And we must also send a message to our young people that Rome was not built in a day. And institutions of this nature, like NSSF, don't come overnight. It takes time. It takes building. It takes savings. It takes patience to be able to get here. NSSF is not a fly-by-night institution. Not a fly-by-night institution. It's an institution built over the years. And therefore, for our country to grow, we must take pride when we see a jewel like this one. Let us build institutions for posterity, and that is what will make a difference in this country. We must build a judiciary that works. We must build financial institutions that work. We must have a parliament that works. We must have a public service that works. We must have a private sector that works. All this takes time. It takes commitment. It takes hard work. It takes sacrifice. And this is the message that perhaps we have not been conveying to our young people often enough. And sometimes we politicians have been the culprits, because we sometimes give the impression that to make money, you must be a politician. To show that you are developing, you must be a politician. To show that you are progressing, you must be a politician. Good young Kenyans, that is far from the truth. It is far from the truth. The number of politicians is minuscule. 300 MPs. $1,450 MCS. Maximum. So it's a very minuscule number. So let us not try to measure success in the context of the country's politicians and political officers. Let us measure it in what we are doing today. This is the real anchor of success. Strong institutions that provide jobs that have a serious multiplier effect in our economy. Yes, that is the politician in me speaking. But let me also not become an obstacle between the good news and your lunch. So are you ready to receive the good news? Are you ready? Yes. Are you really ready? Yes. All right. It is now my distinct pleasure to declare an interest of 17%. On the NSSF member savings for the last financial year. This is the highest return in the history of NSSF. And now that we have set the bar, our expectation is that next year's returns will be even higher. Thank you. God bless the NSSF community, and God bless Kenya. Asante.
Asante sana. And we do have a dramatic launch of the 17%. So we are ready. I kindly request our chief guest, guided by the chairman of board of trustees and managing trustee. Let's move to the other side where the launch pad is. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be dramatic because this is historical. Wait. Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, there we go.
At
the 7th NSSF Annual General Meeting, history was made when the fund credited members with an impressive 11% interest, a clear signal that transformation had begun. As we stand at the threshold of the 8th AGM, the momentum is rising, the expectation is electric, and the future is unmistakably brighter. Let us count it down.
Let's
together.
count down. Countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
NSSF proudly declares
17%
to members' accounts.
Wow.
A stronger fund, a stronger future, a stronger
Come on, everybody. Wow. 17%. Let's take that nice photo right there.
Your celebration.
Excellent. Let's take the photo right there. Thank you so much. For the rest of us, we may kindly take our seats. Chairman, the CEO, we can take the first photo. First photo right there. Up next, we'll have the Board of Trustees joining in.
A celebration to last throughout the years. So bring your good times and your
Board of Trustees.
We gon' celebrate your party.
Stand by.
Let's all celebrate and have a good time. We gon' celebrate and have a good time. It's time to come together. It's up to you.
Board of Trustees, please join the photo. Board of Trustees. Board of Trustees. Social partners as well, please join in. Social partners. Thank you so much. And we do have a gift of appreciation for our chief guest, Madam Irene Award. Please, let's have the gift ready. Let's have our gift ready. Thank you for the gift. Asante sana. Thank you so much, NSSF Choir. Many thanks. We are ready for the award ceremony. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, NSSF Choir. Thank you so much. Asante sana. Well done, NSSF choir. Well done. Thank you so much. Makofi ya NSSF choir tafadhali, asanteni sana. Asante sana. Ladies and gentlemen, asante sana. Our chief guest, we are ready. Thank you so much for that great, remarkable news right there. Now we want to get to the highest total contributors. These are awards, and we'll start with the first category. We're looking at the highest overall contributor 2025. This award recognizes the employer whose overall contributions was the highest of the year. And I'd kindly call upon our chief guest, please, to be on standby, and I'll kindly call the awardee. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for the Teachers Service Commission Primary Section. Well done. Receive that award. Excellent. Recognizing the employer whose overall contributions was the highest of the year. Asante sana. Teachers Service Commission Primary Section. Asante. Thank you, DJ. Thank you. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at the highest contributors 2025. This award recognizes employers who recorded the highest total contributions during the year. We'll call them out. Highest contributor 2025, category 1, Achivo Limited. Achivo Limited, welcome. Category 1, Achivo, where are you? We want to celebrate you. Thank you so much indeed. Okay, there we go. Asante sana. Thank you so much. Well done. Up next, highest contributor 2025, category 2A, Moi University. Moi University. Where are you? Well done, well done. Excellent, Moi University, category 2A. There we go. Asante sana. Well done, well done. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, highest contributor to 2025, category 2B, Grain Industries Limited. Grain Industries Limited, category 2B, highest contributor 2025. Muko wapi? Regional Manager Nairobi, please pick that award. Regional Manager Nairobi, uko wapi? Asante sana, karibu sana. Makofi yao tafadhali. Thank you so much. Grain Industries Limited, category 2B. Asante sana. Thank you so much. We're ready. Asante. Makofi tafadhali. Thank you so much. Category 3, highest contributor 2025, goes to Fafi Integrated Development Association. Well done. Category 3, Fafi Integrated Development Association. Karibu sana, karibu sana. Asante sana. Excellent. And the final award right there, highest contributor 2025, category 4, final award here. Please welcome AHV Church Longonot Ranch House. Category 4, Asante Sana. Where are you? Regional Manager South Rift, you can also come. Asante Sana. Thank you so much. Makofi tafadhali. Thank you so much. Well done. Keep up. And a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our cabinet, our prime cabinet secretary, Makofi yake tafadhali, our chief guest. Thank you so much. You may now leave at your pleasure. We do have a gift of appreciation. Let's have that gift. Ah, there we go. Let's look at that. What's that? Boom. Arena Wall, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, 20. Ladies and gentlemen, coffee for our chief guest. Good music. Makofi yake. Tusimame kumpigia makofi. Asante sana. Thank you for your leadership. Well done. Asante sana. Thank you so much. Wow. Asante sana. I'd kindly request now that we sit down. We do have the final levels of the awards we want to close, but we really wanted to appreciate the presence, the commitment of our prime cabinet secretary. So we are ready to move on to category 2. So in a moment, we should be kicking off. This is the highest tier 2 contributor. All right, so we're ready. Let's have the CEO, FKE. Madam Jacqueline, please come to the floor to guide us through this. So we'll actually go to the top voluntary contributors, non-employed. And we'll start with 3A. Top overall voluntary contributor. This award recognizes the overall outstanding voluntary contributors to social security funds. The awardee, ladies and gentlemen, top voluntary overall contributor 2025, Chaka Nyamawi. Chaka Nyamawi, uko wapi? Karibu sana Chaka. Chaka uko wapi? Ndio huyo basi. Chaka Nyamawi. Wow. These are the top voluntary contributors, non-employed. Top overall voluntary contributor. Recognizing the overall outstanding voluntary contributors to social security savings. And we do have the top voluntary overall contributor 2025, Chaka Nyamawi. Asante sana. Makofi yake tafadhali. Thank you so much. Okay. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, 3B. We're looking at top voluntary contributors. This award recognizes outstanding voluntary contributors to social security savings. Top voluntary contributor 2025, Ukunda branch, Martin Kenga. Martin Kenga, karibu sana. Well done. There we go. Martin Kenga yuko pale. Asante sana bwana Martin. Asante sana. Thank you so much. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, top voluntary contributor, industrial area branch, Samson Sakala. Samson Sakala, uko wapi? Samson, branch manager. Sakala yuko hapa. Makofi yake tafadhali. Well done.